Hey guys, I've been playing guitar for about 43 years and I've bought a mandolin about 2 weeks ago, and I thought it might be kind of fun to chronicle what I'm learning and the struggles I'm having in adopting to this instrument and trying to learn how to play it. So this is a Breedlove quartz. It's a US made nice instrument, maple back and sides, ebony, Sitka spruce top, bone nut, nice. And I got it 2 weeks ago, as I said. I'm going to talk a little bit about the mechanics of it and my observations there. And then I'm also going to talk about the tuning and the implications of that and the struggles that creates for me, frankly, as a guitar player. So first of all, mechanics. Mandolin has much more tension in the strings than a guitar. And as a consequence of that, a good setup is really critical. If your action is too high, if the truss rod isn't adjusted properly, a mandolin is going to be a pig to play because there's a surprising amount of tension on this thing because the tuning is so high. And because you've got a course of two strings, so there's more effort involved in pushing down two strings instead of one. So a good setup is really important if you buy a mandolin. Whenever I talk to guitar players and I say, hey, I bought a mandolin, I'm having fun with it, it's like, how can you stand that little thing? My fingers are too fat, I can't play a mandolin. No, that's an illusion. So first of all, and I measured it, the distance between the courses of strings, between the first course, second, third, and fourth, that distance between the center of those and the individual strings on an acoustic guitar is the same. So if you can play chords and single note runs on a guitar without your fingers interfering with adjacent strings, you can also do it on mandolin. Secondly, the frets are indeed close together, much closer together on a guitar. But again, that's an illusion and kind of irrelevant. The only thing that really matters about fretting is what fret is your finger, the last fret your finger is behind. So if my finger spans 2 or 3 frets when I'm pressing down on it, it doesn't matter. It's what is adjacent to, what am I doing on opposite side of the fret where the speaking length is. I don't know if that's making any sense to you, but basically fat fingers don't get in the way of playing these itty bitty frets. You just have to place them in the right spot. You have to be accurate, more accurate than on a guitar. But and after spending some time with it, you kind of get used to it. It doesn't bother you as much. So guitar players can play mandolins, even if you think you've got 2 fat fingers. Mechanics, left hand is similar to guitar. There's a little bit more rotations. It's like a violin player. So instead of playing with your fingers parallel to the frets, you rotate it a bit like that, right? As opposed to like this. Right hand, picking motion needs to be parallel to the fret, to the top of the guitar. You can't do this figure 8 thing like we do with, as a guitar player. You move your pick out as you pick a little bit, so you can, things like skip strings and all that stuff. If you do that on a mandolin, you're only going to hit one string, and you're supposed to hit them both. So the picking motion needs to move through both strings in the course. So it needs to be a linear back and forth motion, much more so than on a guitar. Okay, let me talk now about the tuning. A mandolin is tuned in fifths, of course, so it's G, D, A, E, right? Which is 2 things. It's the same as a violin. So if you play violin, you've got a head start. But it's also the same as a guitar upside down. The bottom 4 strings on a guitar are E, A, D, G. So that means if you really just need to be able to pick up a mandolin and start playing chords right away, all you need to do is visualize guitar chords upside down. So a G chord, you play like this, right? On a guitar. So on a mandolin, you just turn that upside down. C chord, you turn it upside down. D chord, E. So you can fake your way through some chords if you know your basic guitar chords. The thing is, though, if I'm say I'm playing with other musicians, maybe a guitar player or accompanying a singer, and I'm playing like this, I'm going to get kicked out of the room because there's just too much projection and ringing and stuff going on there, and it's high and it's obnoxious. So mandolin players have what they call chop chords. This is where you're sounding, instead of playing a G like this, you're playing it up on the neck, a different inversion where you can mute the strings quickly. or another one here. Or there's the granddaddy here that everybody plays that hurts my fingers. So there are really two worlds you need to get comfortable with as playing chords on a mandolin. One is the open chords with ringing strings that have produced that big sort of glorious ringing sound you hear on records. But also you need to get your head around how you're going to control the projection of the instrument by how you voice your chords. The mandolin, something I didn't occur to me until I had this one, is how much melodic and harmonic range there is for an instrument with only 4 strings, or 4 courses of strings. On a guitar, of course, from the bottom to the top E string is 2 octaves. You can get 2 octaves on a mandolin with just the 3rd fret on the top string. So the intervals between the strings, because they're tuned in fifths, are bigger. I know that's obvious, but what does that actually mean practically? That means that chords are constructed on mandolin of big open intervals. So let's look at that G chord. So there's a 5th. There's the 3rd that's above the 1st octave, and here's the 2nd octave. So the chord structures on a mandolin are like these stacked big intervals, and that's part of what gives it its special sound, is the fact that you've got these big holes in your chord voicings that give it kind of a glorious sound. And you combine that with the fact that the notes are all doubled, and that's what makes a mandolin sound like a mandolin. One final thing, as a guitar player, for many years, if I'm in a situation where there's a melody in my head and I want to play it, and I know the key, I can play it without thinking about where I put my fingers, right? You get to that point after you've been playing for a number of years where you can play a melody, reproduce it on the instrument that comes in your head without thinking about it. Because the tuning is different on the mandolin, that's gone. And my guitar brain is constantly struggling with finding where the note is. And it's surprising how hard it is to get your head around that. I mean, the scales are 4 notes per string. On a guitar, of course, it's typically 3 notes per string. So it's just the whole layout and the way you find your way around different intervals. Like an octave, that'd be an octave on a guitar. On a mando, it's this. So getting your brain and your fingers trained to be able to instinctively find the notes that you want to play is a much bigger challenge than I had anticipated. Anyway, that's kind of my overview. I hope it was fun for you to watch. I understand, the more time I spend with this instrument, the more I understand why mandolins have been popular for centuries and have been adopted by several different cultures around the world. It really is a beautiful thing playing this instrument, and there's lots of neat stuff to discover, but I'm having a lot of fun spending a lot of time on it every day. So anyway, hope that was fun for you. See you around. Take care.